this whole series of videos at the Exceptional Leader University, it's all about helping you to release the exceptional leader that exists within you. Now, in video 1, I shared the 5 elements that you've got to master. In video 2, we were talking about getting clarity on what you really want. And in this, the third of the videos, we're going to be looking at dealing with when. Because once you know what you really want, well, if you're anything like me, you want it to happen as soon as possible. And this is one of the toughest aspects of becoming an exceptional leader, because in many ways you can't control time. You can have an idea for when you want things to happen, but can you absolutely control it? Doubtful. And this is why, when you come to consider the aspects of when and time, what we really need to think about is the way we relate to our emotions, our emotional state. Because what happens is, if things aren't happening in the timescale that we feel comfortable with, or in the timescale that we want, or in the timescale that we've set ourselves, whether that's realistic or not, the brain automatically registers that as a threat, and then it triggers our emotional reactions. And our emotional reactions show up as feelings of fear, feelings of doubt, lack of confidence, anger, frustration. I'm sure you can think of all the words that relate to you. Now, you might be thinking, well, those are all the negative emotions. What about the positive emotions? Yeah, well, of course, we get that positive kick if we've done things and it's happened in the way that we want. Of course we get that. And actually, that's a key element of understanding how to go about achieving the things that you want. Because what you have to make sure of is that you chunk things down into small enough bits so that you can experience that success and get that kick of feeling good to balance the times when perhaps things don't go the way that you want and you get that negative kick of feeling bad. So this aspect of when is a really important gateway into understanding our emotions and how we react or respond to whether things are going well or whether things are not going so well. So let's have a look at this in a bit more detail. If you think about any project or any new venture, any new relationship that you embark on, it always starts out at a high level of energy and optimism and enthusiasm when we feel like we're on this upward journey. And things feel good and we're motivated and we can see things coming together. But inevitably something happens. Something goes wrong, and then we lose this upward momentum and we start going down. And we go down until we've reached the bottom, whatever that bottom might be, where we feel we can't go any farther. And we go along on this journey down here until we start working out how to get out of it. This is a period that we have to learn and we have to open our minds, because without that, we're not going to start coming out the other side and coming up here. And when we come up here, and we start implementing things that we've learned from this area of what you might call failure, where things haven't gone the way we wanted, we're not running on schedule, we haven't achieved the revenues, or the relationship we've got is failing, or whatever it might be, it's only by opening up and learning and starting to implement from what we learn that we start to come out the other side. And when we do, because we've now learnt more, we're more aware, we've got more resources at our fingertips, we actually come out at a higher level. But here's the thing, right? I say we come out at a higher level. Yeah, exceptional leaders come out at a higher level. Ordinary leaders, and even some good leaders, they stop. And the point that most people stop is around about here. Because this is tough, you know? You had all that enthusiasm and energy up here, and then bang, it all got lost. And you've been struggling down here, trying to find a way through, and you've put all the time and effort, perhaps you've even invested money to try and get through this. And there reaches a point where you say enough's enough. But most people give up just at that point where they potentially can be turning the corner and starting to go up the other side. Now, this is a pattern that has been well established. It was actually recognized by an American family sociologist by the name of Virginia Satir. It's called the Satir curve. And it's one of the most powerful tools I know to help people to recognize where they are on their journey, on this journey of time. Because when you set out from here, if this was the start point, your objective was not to get to there. Your objective was to get to here. That was the goal. But of course, life is very rarely a nice, smooth journey. We always have these dips and hollows, and many times we have lots of dips and hollows before we get there. So recognizing your emotions is absolutely key, because what happens is when you go into this pit, Virginia Satir calls it the pit of despair. It triggers your emotions because your brain sees this particular period, this time, this experience as being a threat, literally a threat to your survival. And quite possibly it could be a threat. It could be businesses have gone under because they went into this and couldn't come out the other side. People have gone under because they went into this and couldn't come out the other side. The skill is to recognize when you're going into the pit, to recognize that emotional reaction that you're getting, that is your brain's natural defense mechanism. It is your brain trying to tell you that you've got to do things differently. And this is what gets me so frustrated when I speak to people in business in particular, and they say, yeah, I try and keep emotion out of business. One, it's impossible. Well, I say it's impossible unless you're a psychopath, because actually that's the word for people who don't have emotions, psychopaths. To be honest, I've never met anybody who was a psychopath. Everybody I've ever met in any business, in any walk of life, has been a normal human being. They've had emotional reactions. So why do we try and deny those reactions, deny the value of them? Why have we got them? We've evolved to have these emotional reactions because they keep us safe. They're trying to tell us something. They're trying to tell us that we have to learn, we have to grow, we have to develop, we've got to do new things, we've got to think differently. So we have to learn how to listen to our emotions. To deal with the when of the 5 elements of becoming an exceptional leader involves consciously developing your emotional intelligence. Because the more you can do consciously, the more able you're going to be when it comes to recognizing where you are on this curve. And ultimately the objective is this. You're never going to get rid of these events, because once you're up there, you're going to start on a new journey, and then you'll have a similar experience. But once you've got the experience of going through this, you can start to make this happen, so that the dip isn't as big and it doesn't last as long, because you've got more experience. And the only way you get that is by listening to your emotions, not being frightened of them, not trying to tune them out, not trying to deny them, which is all advice I've had over the years, but by listening to them. What are they trying to tell you? Because they're trying to tell you something. And when you can work out what that is, that's what's going to take you forward, and that's what's going to help you come up the other side and come out at a higher level than you went into the dip. So that's the end of the 3rd video. How to deal with when, how to deal with time, how to deal with the control or the lack of control when you're on this journey. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. If you have, give me a thumbs up in the comments below. If you do have any comments, then please leave them, because I'm always interested to hear what people have got to say. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do, because then you'll get notified every time I release a new video on the Exceptional Leader University channel. And if you'd like to get in touch, just go along to my website, thethinkingrevolution.com, and at the top of the page you'll see the contact tab. Just click on there and you'll be able to get in direct contact with me. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing you in video 4, where we're going to be looking at the how.